How long it's been? 23rd of March. We're in now, May. Oh, let me look at my watch. Got a new watch. Running watch.
Nice.
Second of May. So yeah, it's just been about 5-6 weeks now. I'm kind of all right with it, which sounds a bit weird, but I've been keeping myself busy, not probably in the ways that most other people have. I don't watch a great deal of TV anyway.
Are you really sick of people recommending you stuff on telly then?
I refuse to watch Tiger King. I'm just deliberately not going to watch Tiger King. I won't go there. It's too popular. I don't like overly popular things.
I know.
But
I'm
yeah.
a bit like that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like what I've been doing, a lot of cooking, or getting good at cooking now. Did carrot cake last week. That was good. We've been eating a lot of cake and a lot of food.
Is that why you got the new watch?
Got a new watch to start running again. I used to run loads, like crazy amounts of running. But then I had one of these watches.
There's a runner going past right now outside.
Okay. It's like they knew. Yeah, I used to run quite a lot back when I was on the ship. More about that later. But yeah.
The ship.
Oh no, the ship. Yeah, and then the watch broke, and I thought, right, get back into running. So yeah, it's good. I like running. So that getting fit again after putting on quite a bit of weight from drinking.
From carrot cake.
Cake and wine, gin. I got really good strawberry balsamic gin.
Whoa. Balsamic?
Yeah. Balsamic vinegar, strawberries, tonic with it. And it's like, it's really strawberry-y. That's not a word. Strawberry-esque. Yeah. All of those.
Did you make it?
No, I bought it.
Oh.
7 Sellers in Hove do free delivery. Plug there. Food wise, what else have I made? Made good roast dinner. Barfield's Butchers in 5 ways.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did you go and pick it up? Did you go and pick up the bits?
Picked it up, which is a mistake. I should have just got it delivered because it's the queue of people. I don't like queuing at the best of times.
No. Yeah. You're doing any music stuff, writing, playing?
Yeah, a few bits.
It's a strange situation being a songwriter because I don't know. Tell me about that.
I suppose I've been working on some of the stuff that I've been recording with you. Obviously, that's been demoed, and that's the oldest song is about 3 years old, and the newest is, I don't know, before lockdown was like January, February. So there's quite a range in how long some stuff takes to write. But going back over those demos and then hashing them out, working on new ideas, and I think it's reminded me of something that I said to you when we first met. I was like, oh, it's only boring people get bored, and you were like, nah, boring's good, man. Boring's good because it makes you creative, and it stuck with me. And it's true.
I think so, yeah.
I just like in lockdown, I've got bored of going on social media now. I don't watch much TV anyway, and anything I do, like I'll drip feed it to myself, so I'm not desensitized by the whole series. But now I'll just be sat there at my desk with GarageBand on my iPad, just fleshing out demos, working on ideas. So
it's great.
Yeah, it is, but it was never like, and kind of when I've written anyway, like I've never been like, right, I've got to sit down and write a song now, and it will just come out, and that'll be it, and I'll work on it till it's good. Sometimes I won't. I'll have like I've said to you, periods of like 2.5 years where I wrote nothing, and then I'll write 3 songs in a month. It just completely varies, and I'd love to know. I'd love myself to know what the formula is to make me write consistently all the time. But
that's got to be one of the biggest questions, I think.
I think the main thing is just not to put any pressure on yourself. Like as soon as you start thinking about it and thinking I've got to write something, you'll either write something for the sake of it and it not be very good or below par, or you'll just stress yourself out and not want to pick up the guitar. So again, it depends how you write as well.
If you've got the guitar, it's like it's too familiar for me to write anything on. I very rarely, if I get an idea in my head first, I'll grab the guitar to play that idea, but the guitar is very rarely the source of the idea. But you've got a piano as well, haven't you?
That we picked up a piano off FaceBay like 3-4 months ago for free. Like half the keys are busted, it's completely out of tune, like, but it's in tune with itself, which is the main thing. And like I'm absolutely terrible on piano, so it's just a fun thing to tinker with. And like you said, like just having a different instrument I'll be like,
your hands, you land in different places.
Yeah.
And this is a piano is I love piano. I'd really love to have one, but
yeah, it's weird. I think the other thing for me, like, I was thinking about this today, I kind of have a weird, like, emotional hang up with chord sequences from working in a previous band.
Right. Okay.
When we wrote, like, oh God, I don't want to slag anyone off too much, but the guitarist who did a lot of the writing was very, like, way more musically intelligent than me, but like could always worked in chords. So if a chord sequence or a chord was too obvious, then it wouldn't be used. Like it wouldn't be seen as something that could be used, where you'd have to put in a funky weird chord somewhere. And of course sometimes that worked, but like it took me ages writing on my own to get out of that habit. And like it's okay to just play E minor, D, and A minor.
Because your songs generally have got very the chords is the same. They don't move around that much, do they? Because like you say, maybe because of that hang up you've got to do with the level of overthinking. Because there's certain genres that are just tied to that, aren't they? Like I think a lot of the kind of new jazz infused R&B and pop, where if you haven't got a couple of weird, I say weird chords, but I know what you mean, non-standard chords, or even stuff that comes out of like some of the more American alt indie stuff, where you get more credit if you take left turns and go off. You maybe do a half a bar or maybe chuck a key. But like you say, it can work. But if you've got a hang up about it, you're probably pushing back against it.
Yeah, and I think it took me a long time to get out of that mindset and be like, and not think about things chordally. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but not think of it musically, and just think of, like we always say, like whether it serves the song or not, whether it's interesting, whether it's catchy. Like, there's a place for that sort of stuff, but I think I know what my it sounds so flipping poncy, but I know what my musical identity is now. I know how I want to sound, and I think the most important thing for me, like, I like what I'm doing. That sounds like, I don't want that to come across as arrogant, but like, I'd love people to like my music and be into it. That's awesome. But like, in the same sense, like, I don't care because I'm proud of it. I like it. So like, when The Ghost comes out, I'll be happy because I'm like, that's a good song and I enjoy listening to that regardless of it being me. So obviously, don't get me wrong, I'd love to play it to 5,000 people, but like, I think if you go down the route of, and I think that's been my problem in the past, writing with other people, again, this is just for me personally, like, I always feel like I'm diluting what I want something to sound like for me to be happy with it. Again, that's I probably work better on my own than I do in a band, but like, I always find that having that like reassurance and a finished song that I'm happy with from start to finish, and then again we can talk more about the production and why that also is like a pivotal part of it, but if the song in the first place, for me, I'm not happy with it, or there's something that isn't right, then I'll never enjoy it to the extent that I could. So
you put all that you put a lot of that time in at that point, that crafting it, don't you, kind of getting it.
I've always been like that.
I thought your songs, when I heard the demos, were very, like, one of the words I got in my mind was quite potent.
Okay, nice.
Like, quite solid and highly concentrated, even though it's just guitar and vocal.
Yeah,
like,
I think
there wasn't any wastage. And again, it's difficult because talking about music and how different people approach it, I don't want to be too judgmental, but the singer-songwriter acoustic guitar and vocal model can be done in a much less potent way. given 4 chords or 3 chords on acoustic guitar, to try and get that I got the sense of scale from those demos that we've ended up with final production, even though there was no drums or bass or anything on them.
Yeah, but I think that was an important thing for me. Like, when I started playing all these songs live, when I recorded the first album, that was just me on my iPad, kind of just doing it for the sake of it and wanting to see if I could, just as a fun little project rather than taking them seriously, gigging as songs, because I was giggling, a bit of giggling,
both,
but mainly gigging. I was giggling. Oh my God, I can't say it properly. Right. I was gigging. There was no laughs. I was gigging covers abroad, and it was just a sort of outlet for me to record, but I never had the intention of playing any of them live. Whereas these demos, it's the opposite. Like, I want to solely perform my own stuff now. So if I can't play it on my own on acoustic and it be captivating to me, then you can put all the bells and whistles in the world on it.
Yeah.
It will fall on its ass when it's on stage. Like, it won't be captivating. And
no, that's a fundamental of pop music, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing as well is, like, I think when I demo my songs and I'm recording them on my phone, I'm really super conscious of the time. So when I'm going through a demo, and if it's got to like 3:30, it shouldn't, for me, like, if songs are getting to 4 minutes and they're just an acoustic and a vocal, then something's wrong. Something needs to be cut somewhere. And that's mainly from, again, getting out of that musical mindset and thinking of it as a musician and just thinking of it as a music fan and thinking, okay.
Well, actually, just thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're creating music, write music, but you're at the same time you're looking at it from another perspective and working out what could be better about it. I mean, again, it's a generalization, but because I look at a lot of singer-songwriters, and sometimes it's to see whether I want to work with them or whether there's someone who's writing really great songs and hasn't recorded them yet. But there's the curse of a lot of people haven't got that. They don't think about it too much. They think, oh, that's a song. I'll record a YouTube clip of me playing it, and there'll be like a 50 seconds of just intro before the vocal comes in. You're like, what?
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think it's very easy to get either blinded by musicality or blinded by ego. And I think in my early years, like, I'm some 50-year-old seasoned vet, but in my 20s and in my 20s and I suppose maybe late teens, like, I probably didn't have that sense of, like, I didn't have that selflessness to the song. It was more about, okay, this is good. Whereas now, like, I almost like know the warning signs. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll get that buzz from writing something, thinking, oh, that's good. But in the back of my head, I know, like, look, wake up in the morning. If you can still sing it, if you're still singing melody in your head without checking it, it's passed one test. If you listen back to it without playing it and it still sounds good, that's another test. And then it's normally a case of fine tuning it over, weeks or months, and be that lyrically or structurally. Like, sometimes it's really easy and sometimes you knock it out in 20 minutes. I love that to be the case the whole time, but sometimes I'll be like, this is good, but I just can't go anywhere with it. It's dead. Just kill it off. I think the main thing is to always finish. Like, I had probably about 5-6 years ago, I was at a point where I had loads and loads of tiny little ideas and nothing happened with any of them. Whereas now, if I've got 1 or 2 ideas sat there, I might give it maybe a week, 10 days. I'm probably lying, and I've probably got about 20 ideas that I've not touched, but certainly less. And to go back to and go, okay, that's a verse melody, get a chorus for it, put it together. Or if it's, like I said, like, if it's 4.5 minutes long, figure it out so it's good enough. And then when it's packaged and demoed, are you going to be proud enough to play this live? Is it going to be worthwhile recording? Has it got legs, essentially?
Is it going to be on the B-side and rarities collection,
Sometimes you don't have the foresight, and that's like going back to when we started recording, and we've recorded these 2 songs now. That's why I knew there was one that I wanted to pick. I knew I wanted to record The Ghost. But then I also am very conscious that some stuff that I think's okay, people go up to gigs and go, absolutely love that song, man. I was like, oh, I didn't think anyone liked that. That'll change.
You found that changes was from my band days of playing out. That would be a different song every time, different people. But then it was, if it's a new song, I guess if you as a band, we'd have probably like 8 songs, maybe 2 of them per gig were like the newer ones, and we were hoping they were the ones that people were going to go like, oh yeah, I really like that one, and like, oh, no one said it. Okay.
Yeah, just never know. But I think that's why. Yeah, that's why I wanted to, with the 2 songs, take one of my opinion and one of someone else's. Obviously, you work in music anyway, so you have, You have that, and it's weird. Like I've been told before that one's good, but it's hard, isn't it, to be objective, because there's also a degree of when you play stuff to your mates or you play stuff to your girlfriend, they're always going to tell you it's good. Or you like,
yeah, good's almost a non-word, isn't it? As well,
yeah.
You want more than that. But it's interesting when I was thinking about asking you about what the songs are about, and you were like, I prefer not to say that.
Yeah, I never tell
anyone. I realised a better question. You taught me this as well from that. Like, yeah, I'd rather just not really say what the lyrics are about and just let the person. And I was like, yeah, that's obviously the lyrics. I guess the question really that I should have asked and will ask in future is where do the songs come from, and what are they coming from? Did it come from a happy place? Is it a story you want to tell? And then while you're telling me where it's come from, I can get a sense of what it means to you.
Yeah.
If it's an angry song, if it's a defiant song, or a silly, So, but then the reason I chose the beach, I think, from all of them, is it just had it was the most vivid. And I could just hear it being a really solid entry point, if for want of a better phrase, to your next batch of tracks. That was like, you can't argue with it. I can't wait for people to hear it. And the same with the Ghost.
Yeah.
And what were you thinking about sonically? I mean, we did talk about this when we were chatting originally, but what was the inspiration? Not song-wise, but sound-wise, production-wise.
It's a funny one. I think it's really weird. The two tracks that we picked were probably the two with the least sonic references for me, that I couldn't really pull anything direct about. But in a way, that was good, because it gave me a opportunity to like when we first met, to sit down in the studio and be like, right, I'm listening to this at the moment, or I like this sound. Like, it wasn't specific on those songs. So yeah, like the last Vampire Weekend record, Five of the Brides, like one of my favorite records the last 10-15 years. Like, I love what's going on with that, and a lot of that's acoustic but in a clever way. It's not a folk record, but it's almost got that, and it's like 18 tracks. It's just got a sort of semblance through it that I love. It's got something running through it, but like when you break it apart, every song sounds completely different in a clever sort of way. So yeah, and then other things in terms of like the overall sound, I really like a songwriter called Noah Gunderson. A lot of his stuff, again, is very straight singer-songwriter. You could probably play it on your guitar on the end of your bed with 3 chords, but there's a lot of very clever sort of, I don't know, bleeps and loops and drum.
Yeah, I like that. That was very cinematic as well. That very atmospheric. I mean, atmospheric is a generic word, but yeah, I loved it. I hadn't heard of that guy actually. That was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you where I heard that. I think it just popped up on a playlist, and I heard one song, and then it's.
I remember thinking, essentially the stuff that you were giving to me as references was like some of the most insanely well recorded, produced music. And I'm all right at what I do, but like, okay, you can. I think you can get to. I can get to a place that's in a same ballpark.
Yeah, I definitely think you did. With
the nice thing is, if there's anything that you like in future, or with any artist, if there's something that's out of the scope of what you can do with my studio with a laptop, you can do it. There's so many other places around town, and it's. And what I'm realizing this lockdown environment is, I'm actually realizing a lot more of what other people in Brighton are doing, because everyone is putting their stuff out online, and they're like, so yeah, to make references to stuff like Vampire Weekend, I listened to that record and I was like, wow, that is amazingly well recorded. It's like amazing.
Yeah, plus they spent 6 years recording that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I gave you 6 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm still tinkering. The Ghost is done, isn't it? That's coming out. When is that coming out? Plug time.
22nd of May.
May 22nd. That's everywhere, digital everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Cool, man. I love the artwork for that as well.
Really good, right? Yeah, she's. I just saw an artist friend of mine who lives in Amsterdam was recommending people's work, and I looked on her Instagram. I was like, "This is genius." I just remember being sat at the kitchen table on Friday and turning to my girlfriend and being like, "I need to contact this person to do artwork for me. This is awesome." And she had a chat online. She's from Canada. If anyone's on Instagram, she's at Stolen Painting. or one word. Had a little chat with her. We bashed a few ideas together. And she had it put together in like a week. It looks awesome. Right. She sent me the print for it as well, which I'm waiting for in the post. So, but yeah, I wanted something different. The artwork on my first album's done with my brother, actually. He's a big artist. But yeah, I love the artwork. It's all sort of come together really nicely, and I think.
Yeah, is it going to be a theme? Do you think you're going to stick with a certain aesthetic?
Yeah, definitely. I'm already thinking about how the beach is going to look, and I think it leads nicely on. You can do some fun things with collages and different landscapes and textures and stuff like that.
It's good to have like I guess part of the brand, isn't it, of what you do? If you go a certain direction creatively, just stick with that for a project.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way to tie it all together, and I think it's a weird thing, isn't it? Like marketing and promoting, and like I said to you before, like I'm not. Like if it's only good for me, that's cool. However, you can be proud of your work and want to show other people. Like I think that's where it crosses over. Again, I'm not the best self-promoter, I'm not the best marketer, but what I do know is that I'm a lot more willing to go, hey, check this music out, or check this when the Ghost comes out. I'll have no problem plugging it, because I truly genuinely believe like it's my best work, it's the best sounding music that I've put out, so it's really easy for me to sell it. Like it's like anything, if you care about the product, although it's a song not product, but you get me, if you care about it, it's very easy to talk about it and very easy to say why you love it, I suppose. So
absolutely, and it's some of the best production I've done as well. Hearing it, I'm looking forward to hearing it out of context, like in the real world, not just on my phone or on my Dropbox, whatever it is. But I think I've been thinking about this as well for my own music and sort of working on my brand. And when you see an artist like someone like yourself as a singer-songwriter, you've got choices to make about a visual direction and how that ties in. And then I'm pleased when I looked at the artwork for the Ghost and that artist's stuff, and it actually does visually reflect quite well the sound of the music. Like the actual production, it's got there's definitely an element of searching, and it's quite like, what's the word, deceptively complex, like lots of different things going in. And then like if the artwork, you've got collage, gives you that, it's that layering thing, isn't it? That's the word I'm looking for. It's layered, you've got upfront stuff in the distance, and it's quite searching. The character in the picture, which everyone will see eventually, is like looking out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is, I think you make a good point there. I know we talked about this. Like you want something where initially they can hear it and go, oh, that's catchy, that's a good song. But then in the fifth listen, they're hearing little guitar parts, they're hearing like a sample underneath. Like I love that sort of music. I love things that I can come back to, and I have it sometimes. I don't know, it's the way my brain's programmed, but I'll play a song that I know really well, and I'll play it through speakers at a party, and someone will start humming a part that I didn't even hear before. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that weird little guitar line that's obviously always been there. But I don't know, like I think that's important. I think that's the other thing as well. When you've just got a guy on acoustic, it's different live, because you bring something, I'm like live. You kind of bring something different to the table.
It's just lots of giggles.
You can be spontaneous and talk shit in between. But I think with recordings, I think obviously if the song's good, the song's good. But I love the idea of people being able to listen back and hear different things in it and different layers. And a lot of that was on you, to be fair. I didn't really, other than the acoustic backing track initially.
I think I did ask at one point, I said I want to take this to that place, because I don't feel the song's going to be its best version unless it's had that extra. So resampling your vocal through mad little pedals and I went pretty crazy. And then to make the intro for the Ghost, I bounced the vocal out onto my phone and played that through a delay pedal into my 4-track cassette recorder.
Wow.
And I was changing the pitch on the cassette recorder with the pitch control, putting that through a delay pedal, and that went into the computer. And then I chopped that up and reversed it. I did that 3 times just to make a section that goes Do you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
but you can't really do that unless you like. I mean, I could have done that. It takes time, and you gave me that thumbs up to like, yeah, let's take it there. And then that led to being more inventive with some of the guitar positioning and stuff, layering different things in there, and then the vocals. I mean, I was inspired by some of your references that you gave me, particularly the Bleachers production. He's nuts. Like, it's obviously one of the world's best producers and stuff, but with regards to like what he does with the little transition bits that happen, or the little chunks that are that long. If you go back and listen to those songs, when you know the song, your ears are like, "Whoa, that 1 second bit was mental." Like it goes.
It's very clever how he does. There's a couple of videos on YouTube. For anyone who doesn't know, Bleachers is I can't remember so he played the guitar in the band Fun, which is if anyone doesn't know the band Fun, it's the Tonight, that song. He played guitar with them, but he was always been a producer. Then he did his own stuff, and he knows and writes for loads of pop artists. So Carly Rae Jepsen.
Taylor Swift documentary I watched recently.
Is he? Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's done some stuff with Lana Del Rey. So he's done the big pop stuff. But if you listen to Bleacher stuff, they're just really well crafted songs. But there's some absolutely nuts production that again it fits that formula of the first time you don't hear it, you hear the song, then you go back. I sound like I Want to Get Better, that he does a YouTube video on how he came up with loads of the samples, and one of them's his girlfriend shouting going, "Let's go," because they've got to go out for dinner. So he sampled it, pitched it down, put something else over, and again, like by the time he's filtered it and done so much sort of tinkering with it, it's like half a second, it's nothing, but combining all of those things together, like I was chatting to someone was asking me about
can I say something on that?
Yeah,
that's what a band hardly ever, like, no bands really do that. That's something that a songwriter producer relationship tends to bring out. I think a 4-piece 5-piece band, only the really, really best bands ever get to the point where that level of detail and that experimentation is happening. And that's why I think I specialize in doing well working with people like yourself, is to have that. And like that's why that guy, Bleachers guy, is so good, working with big artists. But anyway, carry on to say that.
No, I was just going to say, like, the analogy, I suppose, is I always put it in like this cooking analogy. Someone's asked me about what mastering is. I said, if you think of a song, it's just the sort of raw ingredients, then the mixing and production is chopping them, frying them, cooking them, making them tasty. And then the mastering for me is like putting everything on a plate and presenting it so it looks good before sending it out. I think like there's a lot of people who just have really good raw ingredients but don't do anything with it, don't look at how it can be sort of tooled with. That's not the word I'm looking for, but we're gonna go with it. Tooled with, and then obviously mastering going.
They don't put them in the mixing pot. Is that because I'm going to try and continue your cooking analogy?
Yes. I don't know. It's a funny thing, but I think with that comes a lot of trust. Like, I think if I didn't get on with you and I didn't think you were on the same page, it'd be very hard for me to go, there you go, there's an acoustic guitar and a vocal track, do whatever you want with it. I think getting to speak to you and understand your process, and obviously listen to work you've done previously, but just seeing how things were coming together, like when you did say, look, I've got a couple ideas for the beach, or I really want to just go down this route with the Ghost, I wasn't apprehensive. I was like happy to leave it with you and then come back, and obviously you'd send me rough mixes and I'd say I don't like that bit, or I like that bit, or can we try this at the start, and toy around with it. But I think probably like 4 or 5 years ago, or even if I wasn't working with someone and that I get on with as well as you, I'm just blowing some here. But if that if you don't have that relationship though, and you're not willing to do that, then it can become really uneasy. Or if you're not, even if you're not confident enough to say, look, I don't like that bit, like none of that's personal. Like we have a really good working relationship, but also like we can to talk about music, and you come to gigs, and we just chat shit and send Fortet videos to each other on WhatsApp.
It's pretty much just Fortet videos, isn't it? That's
essentially. But yeah, I think that's
just see what our guy Fortet did today. Yeah. I saw. Yeah, I'm following him too. I'm outside his house.
Yeah. I'm not meant to be out here, but I'm out here. I get it. I get people if they've been given $1 million contract. Why am I talking in dollars? £1 million contract.
Got $1 million contract.
Obviously American now. If they've been given a load of money by a major, I understand why they'd then sort of be given a high-profile producer. Totally, but it's a lot of people who are making music on their own now, and I think, for me, like I don't have the brain capacity or the attention span to be able to like successfully record music to the standard that I want to hear it in my head. Like, and this is not me bashing my early work, but essentially bashing my early work a bit, and that I just sort of went with it and stuck it out and thought I've done that as almost like I just did it to take part rather than to actually want to achieve something. So it was a good, again, like it made me realize how much there is to learn and how much attention to detail and time you need to spend on like a song, whereas I'd much rather spend that time writing. And that's fine, that's cool. Some people do both. I get that, and maybe one day I will be in that position where I want to work more on production. But like, I think just having that honesty with myself and be like, okay, I need someone to help me make this sound how I want it to sound without spending a year staring.
That's it. Like people put production on a bit of a pedestal sometimes if they're at home. Like, they've got GarageBand. Like, oh, no, but you're just making music. That's all you're doing. And the more tools you've got in your box or whatever, if you've got GarageBand, the more you do, you're going to just be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I can make that sound. People say, oh, getting in, I'm going to be there's the pedestal of a producer really is, most people who do what I do are still learning and still feeling like they're in the same boat as artists. Sometimes they're still like, oh, it's a new plugin or a new processor or a new way of making something sound. But really, the more people like you, more songwriters who make their own shit, the better. Like, I'm actually I've started a Facebook page and an event, online community solely with focus on helping songwriters, singer-songwriters stuck at home. Like, everyone's stuck at home, everyone in the whole world, right? So every songwriter, it doesn't cost very much money to make music at home. You should be doing it. You should be learning about that. Yeah. And eventually, some of those people will get good enough.
Rise to the top.
They'll realize that that's what they love doing. Someone like yourself, you're like, I like doing it, but I prefer doing the songwriting. And
I'm glad. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm glad I have that sort of, at least, inquisitive nature to look at it the same way as I look at the piano. Like, you still use it as a tool. Like, I found it really helpful, GarageBand, just to figure out, man, we should get paid by GarageBand. We're plugging the hell out of them.
What GarageBand's good is it's approximating ideas very quickly. So if someone makes a demo in GarageBand using the sounds built into it, I can hear that and go, I know what you're going for.
Yeah. Like the stuff like the demo I sent you recently that's got drums, bass, synth, guitar, multi-tracked harmonies and vocals and stuff. Like, that's that's as good as I'm gonna get, and that's fine. That for me is like a high-end John Seaton demo that I sent to you. Like,
you don't even need me now. That's it. Done.
No. But that's the difference, though, right? I know that a high-end Steve Baker production version of that.
I write that down. I'm high end. I'm high end, guys. I'm high end, by the way.
High end and modest.
My prices are going up.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's I think there's a lot of scope of stuff like that. And even if like one of my best friends has loads of little gadgets, like he introduced me to the, oh my God, what's it called? Tell me.
The Pocket Operator.
Thank you so much. The Pocket Operator, which I had lots of fun walking around.
We could be sponsored by Teenage Engineering as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd love that.
EP1 is on everything I do, and I've just put an EP out of music under my own name, Champion Fever, which has 80% OP1. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, Tim has loads of little tools and things. Like, it's very fun taking the Pocket Operator. It just looks like a tiny, I don't know, for anyone who's not seen it, look it up, but a tiny little sort of calculator circuit board, I suppose, that you can sample various noises and put beats behind it, which is great fun in a festival scenario.
In any scenario.
Or in any scenario. Like, it's really interesting seeing him come up with ideas and that. They're not, again, like, he's not taking it seriously as a producer. He's not taking it seriously as a songwriter. And I think that's important to remember as well. Like, not everyone wants to make music to, you know, play, tour and gig. And some people just love to have some sort of creative release. Like, not everyone drawing a piece of doodling on the side of a page wants to be a Basquiat. Do you know what I mean? People can just be creative. And
that's why those companies who make those little toys, almost toy instruments, you know, I reckon 90% of people who buy them are people who just like, oh, it's cool, it's fun.
Yeah, it's just fun to mess around with.
Yeah, I've got that spirit with everything I do anyway. It's quite nice. But yeah, like you say, taking it seriously it can be a bit of a curse, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Usually judging it. And the psychology of music making is really fascinating. The podcast that this is going to be talking about the psychology of music making is part of it, really. Like the process, I mean, it's different for different people. Some people use the studio as a writing tool, and it's all about getting in there and reacting to sounds that are coming out. Other people bring a song in and be like you, like, there's a song, make it a thing. So the process is more with me than with you. But I was going to ask you about that, like what led you to looking for a producer, but you've kind of
answered it, I suppose.
I didn't have to ask the question.
I think it's funny, like you said, I think I took, when like I was in a band in like my late teens, early 20s, I took it all so seriously. Like, we had to constantly try and promote ourselves and play these gigs where you'd end up, used to go, this is when we were in Guildford, or Milton Keynes, lived there for a bit. We go to London twice a week, spend 50 quid on train fares and get maybe paid a tenner each.
Yeah, is that like going to play like the Dublin Castle and the
yeah.
All those kind of...
Or you'd play there, and like, I get it, but like, I was so intent on like us, like, what's the phrase where you like making it big or it kicking off for us, and, you know, being successful, making it a career, that like I just kind of stopped enjoying it, stopped remembering why you did it. And then subsequently, after the band finished, I went to work as a professional musician doing covers on cruise ships and in bars and abroad and stuff like that. And again, like, that was fun because I was touring the world, essentially, like playing lots of different gigs everywhere. And I wasn't taking my own music seriously at all because I wasn't doing any. I was just doing it for shits and giggles, really. But again, like that got to the time where you'd go away for 4 months at a time, come back, and I just wouldn't want to look at a guitar, let alone pick one up and start writing. So
you showed me your Telecaster, how road-worn it was. Your Telecaster looks like one of those ones that's been reliced.
Yeah, I know. Loads of people say that. They're like, "Oh, where'd you get the relic edition from?" I was like, "Time, just time." Father Time has not been kind to this telly. But
that is hardcore.
Yeah, it got to, but then that side of it, where it was essentially like, that was on paper all I ever wanted, to be a professional musician and be touring and gigging. I know it's not kind of the same thing, it's a sort of diluted, homogenized version of that, but at the end of the day, it got to a point where I just wasn't getting any enjoyment out of playing live. Like, people were like, "Oh, do you still get nervous going on stage?" I was like, not really. I get kind of different nervous now because it's my own stuff and I care about it. I'm more pumped. I do kind of get nerves, but not in the same way. Like, we were playing
I know what you mean.
3-4 sets a night. Like, it just got to the point where I just wasn't enjoying it. And I knew as well that there's a queue of people waiting to do what I was doing who would enjoy it. And it's like, I was just dreading going back on the road again. Like, so yeah, that's when I kind of came off and started focusing on my own stuff, moved down to Brighton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked about that, have we?
No, well, it's an obvious destination, isn't it, really?
Kind of, yeah, I suppose.
To think about that or London, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. But I kind of wasn't looking from an artist point of view. I came back, my parents retired and live up in Telford. There's like not a lot going on there. Cheap pints though, like £2.80 a pint.
Telford?
Still now, yeah.
Where is Telford?
It's like Shropshire, so it's kind of between Birmingham and Cardiff, I suppose.
Oh, right. Yeah, Telford. I don't know why I know that word. I've not been there, but
you're not missing a lot.
No
offense to my Telford people.
I'm not going to go there to get cheap pints, I don't think. I think I'll carry on paying £7, whatever there is.
Yeah. We love that.
But yeah, anyway.
No, yeah. So, and then I went to my first festival in like 6-7 years. Went to Secret Garden Party, RIP, with my brother and all his mates. And I always say to people, you know, when you meet someone at a party who you really get on with, you're like, you're wicked. It was like that, but about 20 people. And I was like, where are you all from? And they were like, Brighton. We all live in Brighton. I was like, right, I'm moving down. And they were like, yeah, sure, you're moving down. Everyone says they're moving down. You're hammered at a festival. And then 6 weeks later, I just turned up, and yeah, I've been here since.
That's so good.
The aim was to start getting music on the go. I remember that July, hang on, August, it's October 1st, 2017, when I moved down here. The aim was right, get on the music. And then obviously when you're with a lot of people that you've met at a festival, you tend to party quite a bit.
Yeah.
And my brother had previously lived down here. He's a great drummer. He used to go to BIM, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. He went to BIM.
All right, cool.
Yeah, he lived with the Kooks. What was I going to say? And he was like, be careful when you're down there. It's very hedonistic. Be sensible. Don't go too crazy. And I love a party. And I'd been working on cruise ships where the average age was 60 to 70 for 4 years. So this for me was like right then. So yeah, didn't do a lot of writing.
And a newfound love of electronic music.
Yeah, didn't do a lot of writing. And then I don't know, it was probably like last October was kind of like when I wrote The Ghost, when I was a bit down and sort of anxious and dealing with all that jazz. I just remember writing The Ghost and recording it in my room, and like, you know me, like I'm one of the most outgoing people ever. I just didn't want to go out and see anyone. Didn't want to see anyone at work. Want to book myself in meeting rooms just to sit in there and be away from people.
Wow.
Which is the bad side of partying too hard, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Well, obviously you're a saint, so just try and empathise, I suppose, is all I can say there, Steve.
It sounds like you were having a really rough time.
Yes, thank you. And then I recorded a bit of The Ghost. I'll talk about The Ghost in depth now. It's led on quite nicely. So
tell me about The Ghost.
Well, let me tell you.
This track that we've just recorded and sounds banging.
The banger. So I recorded that originally in my bedroom at the time. I was a bit down, like I was saying, and just picked up a guitar and recorded something. It sounded a bit, so The Ghost originally sounded like a country song. It was very like swung acoustic sort of, and the Carnegie Man's clean. It's like kind of that sort of Dolly Kenny style.
Still got the swing in there, but yeah.
And then I left it. I recorded a verse, the bridge, and the chorus all in one go, pretty much, just on my phone. Completely forgot about it. And then I was saying to you about finishing off ideas. I was like, right, go through your recordings, John, and cut some of this out. And I just clicked on that. I was like, oh yeah, I'd literally completely forgotten about it for about 3 months.
Is that like going through your phone recording type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, finished it off. I was like, this isn't actually that bad. This is quite good. And it's kind of one of those weird ones that could have easily just slipped through the net. And then every time I played it live, people were like, yeah, that's a really good song. And it kind of got the best reaction.
You opened your gig with it last time I saw you play.
Yeah. And yeah, that was kind of it for me. That sort of stuck. And again, the test was like, I kept waking up with part of it in my head. Like, I was like, to the point where I'd forgotten what was in my head, what song it was in my head. I'd be like, oh yeah, what song is that? Oh yeah,
try being the producer of that song.
I bet, man.
Oh, that's like having a mental disease. I could not get it out of my head, and I was like, mate, this is actually The Beach as well. Both insanely catchy.
You had The Beach in your head for a long time.
Yeah, The Ghost. I mean, luckily The Ghost, when that arrived on the scene, that wiped the Beach. They're both fighting for earworms.
Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah, like I say, did you have many other songs to choose from? Or was that just one that like popped out?
Yeah,
I'm like you. I've got so many ideas on my phone. I've sort of like don't know. In
terms of just ideas sitting around, I think I went through the others and pretty much all of the rest of them got cold. But that was the one that just stuck out. And then obviously I had about 6 or 7 others. I've got a couple more now that are like have stood the test of time. I think that's a really important thing. Like that, although it's one of the most recent songs I've written, it still sits alongside the song that I've had for 2.5 years and haven't recorded. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's still good. That still goes down well. It sits alongside that. I think it's really, and I like the way it sounds now. Like, I still love playing it live, but now it's like danceable. That's the best thing I love about that production. It's like, I know you can dance to this song. Like,
it's got bass. I think around the time of working on the track in a bit more focus, I was listening to some podcast or something where a female guest was like, made a very succinct point that if you want to have a successful track, you've got to make it appealing to the women, and women like the bass. I was like, that's so reductive and so generalized, but it's like, think about parties you've been to. They like it. They like the groove. They like the bass. So I made the point on that track just to have that bass coming in at that, I think the second time round, and like, boom, boom. And then when I sent it to Tim for mastering, I knew that he would be the guy to master it with that low end. Yeah. So it's got that danceable low end thing, but all the guitars and danceable.
Yeah.
Danceable indie pop.
Basically. Yeah. I don't know, man. I love that. I love being able to, me, like, I've kind of said this to you before, but like, I kind of hate that typical semi-wishy-washy, quite boring to watch, quite standard to listen to singer-songwriter. But there's no denying that I'm just a bloke with a guitar when I'm playing live. In terms of like producing and making, like, I'm only gonna attract a certain listener to listen to that sort of music, and that's fine. But I don't want to be the next Damien Rice. Like, I'd rather come out with something.
Honest, I watched that Taylor Swift documentary. Have you seen it, Miss Americana?
No, I haven't.
It's really interesting, interesting. And I knew nothing much about her before watching it. It's on Netflix, and the bit where she's doing exactly the same as what you and me did, but she's doing it with massive pressure and massive budgets. So she was in some studio in LA or whatever, and she's got the producer there, and she's got the pen and paper, and she's got the basic idea that she's written on the guitar. And you can see that moment where they can both see this, how big the track's going to be in that moment. And I was thinking, you know what? I think John's songs are quite similar.
I'm the male Taylor Swift.
Well, I don't know why I thought that. I'm trying to work out what that thought process was. It's more like, it's pop music, it's succinct, it's danceable, it's textured, it's potent.
Yeah.
But if you're an artist like Taylor Swift, it gets packaged up in this huge epic live show, and it's her.
Yeah.
But if you took all of the Taylor Swift stuff away and you gave that exact same piece of music and idea to an indie, a more left field artist, the actual music wouldn't have to change that much.
Yeah,
it's just the delivery of it and the execution of it. So I think your songs could be, the ones I've heard, could be given to someone at that level, and it could translate into something that kind of appealing. But what I think that gives a songwriter a lot of space, because if you've got 4 or 5 tracks that are that potent, you've given yourself some headroom to have tracks that aren't as potent, and it's fine, or experimental ones, or longer ones, or
that's definitely true.
That freedom.
That's definitely true of like the stuff, like a demo I sent to you recently called Daydream. That song's like structured very similar to a Noah Gunderson song I like, and I listened to that song and thought, I want to write a song with that same sonic perspective and that same structure. Whereas before I wouldn't have done that. I would have thought, okay, I need to write something else that's 3 minutes and 5 seconds, or I need to make sure I've got another sort of single sounding songs. It's really funny you say that, because that song's like 5.5 minutes. It will probably have a little bit of the guitar solo in it. It's more drawn out, it's slower. But again, like those sort of songs, especially when thinking about an album, like it's okay to have those songs, because you need that counterbalance. Like the catchier, poppier songs, if there's 10 of them, they all lose meaning. It's too in your face. It doesn't work. You need to have
that works.
Like light and dark. It's different if it's a greatest hits album, but even them, like you get greatest hits
Fucking
album
hate them.
like 15, 20 tracks long. It's always the first
Yeah.
5 that are the bangers, right? And then it
I can't
starts.
stand greatest hits albums. I really don't like them. I don't think they should. They only exist to sell more records. But anyway, that's another discussion.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, I think it's funny. Like The Ghost and the Beach are both quite standalone pop singles, but I would never. Someone was asking me about have I thought about where to sequence songs on a record. I was like, I would never put those songs next to each other because they wouldn't work. They need their own space, and you need stuff in between. Like it's not so much filler, but it's like you need to have ups and downs when you listen to an album.
It's an arc. And
and that
I
comes
was
back to.
Do you know? Sorry. No, well, I was going to say I was listening to that podcast. It's James Acaster. Do you know the comedian James? Acaster?
I haven't listened to the podcast, but I've read the book about the podcast.
2016 was the best year in music. Yeah, so I listened to the Ramesh Ranganathan episode recently, and he challenges his guests. I think it's a new podcast actually.
Yeah, it's brand new.
He challenges his guests to listen to an album they've never heard before, and he has to convince them why it's the best album and how that makes the album that year the best year for music. Yeah, Ramesh was talking about he'd never heard Beyonce Lemonade, and I'm in that category. I'd only heard little bits and a lot of hype about it when it came out. And then you listen to that album and you realise Beyonce's career has given her that headroom to do an album like that. And obviously you're not at the same position in your career as her, but by writing songs like The Beach and The Ghost and other potent songs that are really, really, I'm going to say accessible. They are accessible. They're immediate. They've got appeal in future when you've got those songs behind you. If you're an artist like Beyonce or, you know, like the man on the street will know you for those songs. The man on the street knows Beyonce for probably 3 or 4 songs. But albums like Lemonade, they are immense, deep, beautiful albums.
Yeah.
Only got a couple of moments that are going to become those man on the street moments. I mean, it's not a new way of looking at things, but I think it's good to have that perspective when you're writing, to think, you know, oh yeah, like you say, you don't have to keep churning out banger after banger. But then the attention span, I think it links to what you think of the attention span of your audience, because that varies massively as well. So if you were a record label executive, you'd be like, well, we need to have a song that's going to appeal to this demographic and one for this demographic and one. So you've got to try and cover all these bases now. My attention
span's terrible. So I know
what was that you were saying, mate? Sorry, I lost.
I know that my attention span's so bad that if I tune out, then I'm assuming the worst person of lowest attention will have tuned out. So, funny thing about Beyonce's Lemonade, know the song "Hold Up"?
I actually am still getting to know the album, so no, I don't. But
a song called "Hold Up" on it, written by the singer in Vampire Weekend.
Oh wow, great. Amazing.
Serendipitous.
So all right.
Yeah, he loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain categories of skill that Beyonce is in a category above many other people, but it's credibility. That's a word.
Credibility is a word.
Credibility is something where you get someone who's a 40-year-old white English man who's talking about Beyonce probably at the same time as a 16-year-old, Southern American. Like that's credibility and appeal and stuff. Yeah. Well, with the lockdown, you were saying earlier you've been cooking lots, so you haven't been doing much TV. I've been going back through. I've been taking musical tangents that I wouldn't have normally taken. I'm in a Facebook group where people challenge other people to make mixtapes of an artist that they don't really know much about.
That's cool.
So they post a request in the group. It's got like 1,000 people in it, and they post a request saying, "Hey guys," and I did a Tom Waits one and a Steely Dan one because they're two artists and bands that I don't know hardly anything about. So they were like, "Yeah, it's cool. I'll make you one." So I had 2 personally made playlists, and then that. Have you been doing much of that? Much kind of going into things like?
I'd love to say I was. I've just been listening to a lot of electronic music. I mean, I love Bicep. I love been getting into techno properly for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 months, I suppose. to listen to like that. I'm just scrolling through. I'm not being ignorant. I'm just scrolling through my Spotify to see what I was.
Well, that's what I always do when people ask me about what I'm into. I'm like, oh, let me just check.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do this. What if you go to your music and go to? Do you do albums or playlists most?
I do playlist probably. I've got a really long playlist that has like 900 songs I keep adding to. Let's find out what I've recently added to it. This is a good way of doing things. Do you know Iron and Wine?
Love Iron and Wine. Haven't listened to it for a while, but yeah.
Passing Afternoon, that's a nice song off our Endless Numbered Days. Soccer Mummy.
Haven't listened.
She's quite new. Quite poppy.
Haven't heard of them.
What else have we listened to? I've been going back over songs that I used to listen to when I was a kid, so I have been. I've lied to you, saying that I wasn't going on tangents. I have been. Do you remember a song by Yeah? It's called Gold Lion.
Oh, yeah. Gold Lion. Gotta tell you where the blood is.
Like on the music video, she used to like they hit a drum and sparks come off it.
I've never seen the music video.
Check the music video out for Gold Lion.
One of my favourite bands. Although I say that, I can't claim to know much of their catalogue. They're just a fucking amazing band. So I always say, they're one of my favourite bands. I saw them live twice, once in small place, once big, and they both times were just like amazing. So yeah, love that band.
She has done an album with Danger Mouse.
Yeah, I love it. If you, I've got a playlist on my phone of mix inspiration and mix references. That whole album's on it because that's a level of sonic perfection and that is virtually unmatched, really. Like, headphones on, put that on, and and they actually conceived that album as a 360 like visual experience. Have you seen about that?
No.
There's a documentary on it online.
Nice. Send me that.
They worked with a custom built sonic team where to debut the album, they made this 360-degree room where the audience came in and sat down, and they built this structure in the middle that looked like a big mystical rock that had projections onto it. So that was where people focused their attention, but they built a custom 3-dimensional speaker system to play back the album. And like, it's the level of geekery and technology for that is next level.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she's great. Her vocals as well are so varied and so they cut through in different, she's good at the short punchy stuff. She's good at the really like emotive stuff, the long form, classical type singing. Yeah, great. What's it called? What's it called again? Flux.
Don't say that wrong.
Neon Flux.
Get in trouble.
Neon Flux.
Yeah.
That's a film. Oh my god! You can't riff about something and then not know what it is.
Let's find it. Lux Prima.
Lux Prima.
Beautiful.
Love it.
What else have we been listening to? Let's find some more tidbits. I like the new Laura Marlin song, Held Down.
Oh, the album is great.
Is it? I haven't listened to the album
yet. It's one of my favourites. She recorded it and produced it herself.
I was never really into her because I'd always thought that when she performed live, she's very like plain emotionally performing live. It doesn't look like she's into it, but that's just me being ignorant. Listening to that song, I was like, this is banging. So I need to go back and check some of her stuff out.
Her last her album before this one, I'm going to check that actually before I claim this, but my favourite producer and musician and artist is Blake Mills.
Oh yeah,
and he works a lot with Sean Everett, and Sean Everett's probably the best producer in the world, one of them. So Laura Marling did an album with Blake Mills. I think it was Semper Femina. It was the one that came out in 2017.
Yeah.
Really, really like incredible sonic album, but really beautiful. But her most recent one that's came out just last couple of weeks is more traditional sounding, and she recorded it and produced it herself. It's much more focused on the songs just being quite compact and but I love it. I listened to it quite a few times actually since it came out.
Oh, nice.
She goes through phases of not writing songs at all. Like she's done acting. She's become a waitress for a while in America. She decided to go and just not do anything, be anonymous and get a job in a shop and just live a different life for a bit. And
so I respect that.
Yeah, she's lovely. Yeah, that's good. So you've listened to a bit of bit of like the singer-songwriter-y stuff. What about, have you heard the new Childish Gambino stuff? Do you like him?
No, I do like him. I like the EP he did about summertime. Big fan of
Yeah, he put
that.
an album out last week called 15th of March 20. I think that's the date he put it out.
Right, this is where I
Recommend
save
that,
all
mate.
this stuff.
Yeah, I recommend that.
Oh, I'm on airplane mode because I didn't want people to text me.
It's good fun though. It's good fun, like having extra time in it, I think. Because I'm a producer, I listen to music sometimes too much with the wrong brain on, the wrong hat on. I lose my music appreciation. I'm more of a musical analyst. And so going back through like Radiohead back catalogue, or I was listening to lots of Smiths stuff. I've never been a massive Morrissey fan, but I love the sound of the Smiths. So going down that avenue, yeah, discovering some bands that you already know but don't know that well. Yeah. Good.
Oh, the new Mystery Jets record's good.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I'll listen to that again. I'd want to just crank up my speakers after we've done this, to be fair.
I described them once. I saw them live at Big Chill in 2010, I think. We were playing at the time, and they headlined on this quite small stage. If I remember it being quite small, but it probably wasn't that small. But I remember like they did such a good gig.
Yeah.
I had the entire crowd around their little finger. Every song was amazing.
Oh,
and I was just saying to my friend Toby, like, these guys are a national treasure, like at that point, because that was 2010.
Yeah.
It felt like they were just going to explode.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen. It just didn't happen.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
They just sort of went like,
I've been wanting to see him for years. Serotonin was the first record theirs I really got into. That was like the third album. And I got tickets to see them in November at Concord. And he had to reschedule because he was ill in hospital. Got rescheduled to March, and obviously April, so that didn't happen. So now it's been rescheduled to November this year. Like, they're like one of my top bands to go and see, and I've got tickets and they keep rescheduling because the world's fucked. But yeah, it's fine. It will all come back around. It's the same with Bicep.
Yeah, I think things are changing. I think the problem is the attention for your online attention now, because that's the only way people have got to getting people. Every day I've got like 15, 20 options of things to watch and look at. Like, you sent me that Fortet link, which is in an hour. I'm like, I might watch that. But then at the same time, it's like I've saved about 15 links on my Facebook feed to do with various music production tutorials.
Tough, isn't it? It's weird.
And I've given myself extra work recording a podcast.
Perfect. But it's going fine. It's going well.
Although this one, I don't think I'm going to have to edit, really. But I'm looking forward to people being able to hear the Ghost, and potentially working on some new stuff for you. We'll see how that goes, with like whether we can do some remote sessions.
Yeah, we can. I think we can. Yeah. I think if we have this format, look, I think realistically, I don't see the level of, again, I don't want to talk about this too much, and hopefully by the time this comes out, this will all have blown over to some extent, but I don't see the situation being exactly the same as it is now in terms of distancing in 2 months' time. But again, I think there's probably like at least 2 or 3 of my songs that I can send over. Again, I picked up a bass now, haven't I? So I can send over the bass line recorded on the iRig that you can use as a stem. I can send over the drum pattern, which you can recreate, mimic, and take from. Like, in terms of any of the piano based stuff, like if we do Figure Me, like the piano on that's very simple. Like, you could easily play that like on a plug-in and make it sound cool. Let's.
You can send MIDI files. You can send. I'm quite into my field recording, and as you probably know, I've used my phone all the time to record like the sounds of the birds outside or whatever mad stuff. And don't be afraid to bring in some of your sonic world into your productions.
That's true.
Any little weird things you can record, they can end up, like we're talking about the Bleachers guy, they could end up being
very true,
a part of a track. They could end up being a hi-hat or whatever.